So the honest to God truth about what we have when we were young and how that it got distorted, that pureness that we had within us to be the truth of that pureness. And if it was to buy into something where it's not, it shows a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, to conform to that to be in general. And then to conform out of that back into what you are, you'll still experience the pain around you of the disconformity of which you didn't want to conform to as the process continues. But the thing is that that's exactly what what I wanted to prove. I'm going to just explain, but I'll go into depth so that everybody can understand. Oh, I love that sound. See that? So we know that nature around us is not affected by the external world, which it has some effect. But the internal condition of which they emanate is totally 100% pure with what they were, that they didn't conform out of. We're not, man isn't literally telling a bird to write in a book and, you know what I mean, conform, right? So that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, it's the real truth of the joy of what we should have lived for. Now, when we were trying to get into that system to be backing of what it is, but it's not backing of what that love is, for everything to be into what it is. So we got to try to be hard to accept into what it is, really. Why do we have to try so hard to be into that of what that it isn't yet, until that the structure's changed, because that structure is hindering the whole process, and it's the whole structure in itself which is hindering that process. And it's our minds that slowly, after 2 years, or after a 10-year period, it slowly takes things away from you, your rights, right? It takes more of your rights away over the years. But then the people, say 20 years ago, would never stand for a thing, and they knew that at the time, but as it's gradually getting changed, right, we accept it, and we're so conformed into the work that we can never catch on to what really is playing out on a bigger scale that has been going on. So what I'm trying to say is that when I'm conforming out of that, and still having the energetic field of my awareness from the chakra, which actually, the heart chakra, which feels the energy, which recognize it and can distribute it and tell the difference between it. That's why people that have a loving heart can actually see when somebody's not being fully either in alignment with it or not. You know what I mean? And even when they're angry, it's either with their heart or not, or it depends. There's different stages of many different calibers of many things. Like, we think that we are just this one aspect, right, that we think of ourselves as. But we know all these aspects go through the cycles of, like, what we are, and it shows us basically the things that are hindering that process from being. And it seems like whatever the circumstance gets too hard for us, what we do is we will it to be right after a certain time. After how many times it hurts us, we will that to be right, and just before it seems like it's the end of it, we make it out. But why? It's because our little soul couldn't literal soul couldn't handle, say, a certain thing of it, so it let go of something. And in that way, that your soul wills it to be is the real emotion that you don't deny from yourself when it gets to a certain point. So that's when shifts take place and other things take place outside of the conformity. And it was just because that the information wasn't there, or people weren't stepping into their power, that it never made that happen. See, like, what makes things happen really is that the people with what they know that they can do with their physical hands, it's all built by our physical hands to begin with. Like, the machine and all that isn't, but I'm saying, like, we are the players, which we play towards that role, and if they control that role, what they do with that role is not up to us. But they keep on, generation upon generation, doing stuff with our generation, which They think, oh, we have this money, we have this little bit of time. After we do all that work for them, that does the total opposite for us. Because what we're really doing is we're speeding up to the mass thing that we need just the need, right? And we need each other more than anything else in today's world. So it's more or less that we got to give up certain faculties of which we think we need, when all we need is food and water and like to live. Like, and we think we need to be so secure with all these other things, and only the jobs are there for people that are looking for a job. They don't necessarily even want that truck job or that job. If they had $1 million, would they choose that job? So we have this $1 million in how many people are on the planet and their willingness. We are worth more than $1 million or any money can buy. When we transform what this is, and this planet would be worth way more. Because right now, an alien wouldn't even want to be here because of the energy. And that I'm picking up more, that's why they don't always come down here. And to be totally honest, it's the bacteria that's down here and everything like that, from their density plane or otherwise, they can't breathe in this atmosphere as long, because it's not like they're familiar with this planet, unless they had technology. But just like if we went to their planet, I'm pretty sure that we wouldn't be accustomed and we'd have a little issue. But then, just that little issue over time, we could evolve, but you would still have to have some sort of it depends on where you are, what it is, because we can always see the possibilities of all these things, right? But we got to realize that all these things are already existing around us for the possibility, right? So we already know all the intricate facets of, like, say, the macro level of a cell and all this, and how kind of like intricate it really is. So in the fashion of what intricates on Earth outside of ourselves, we know that there's so much more that is different of each surrounding thing. And like each place has a different culture or a different way of even intellect, or a different whole energy field of what that creates with whatever it's around to be in that area. So if it makes sense that this planet's living in, and that if we're on certain areas, we conform to what it is. Because if I am what it is surrounded by all you, I conform to what you are, because I'm incarnated here to basically conform to what you are, but to make sense of what I was to bring to what this awareness is. If we could all be aware of it, or give our will up to ourselves to do so with our soul. And it's not it's just so people are aware of what we can do all together, simply, rather than one individual that it takes a tremendous amount of time to manifest. Rather, if we did it all together, it'd manifest a lot quicker, is what I'm saying. In that the way things are going, it needs that, and they can either shift out of it, and it's almost forcing them to do this, because the way the energy is in the planet, that we feel differently over time, it's because actually this planet is changing, and we're getting affected by different things that are happening over time. That is the real cause and effect. So that is another key aspect that I wanted to show and share with you, that kind of opens your mind into that direction of like what's real again. What's the main purpose in the whole big picture? Because every day I think about that big picture ever since I was born. This is who I was. And I would always be on that level, because that's what I could relate to, and that's why I kind of isolated myself for, and I'm not isolating myself anymore, of course, but I'm just saying, like, it was on that, the anxiety and stages of like what this place was, and you feel it like that, and that type of way that happens, you don't want to be in that category of thing. Because when I moved out of it, I felt so much more free, liberated. There was no fear into doing things, or even being affected by others, because I would just stand in my truth and have total surety of what I was saying. Because of at the time, when I was unsure, when I was still a little bit like, okay, where is this going? Who really am I? Okay, how much do I really know? And I was questioning myself, but that was a long time ago. And then I still have that occasionally pop up, you know, that from that old state of who I am in my soul. And the reason is because, but this time it's liberating itself from the like familiarity of what everybody else is going through, or through time, that for that matter. So we realize through this time that all this changes and all the souls are actually the karmic effect which we get affected by through time, that we intermingled with. No matter what, we're constant change and energy progression. So whatever we actually had in our life is still in our life to be affected upon in some greater measure of things. That's why it keeps things flowing and changing, because if nothing was interacting, nothing would happen at all. Or energetically, for that matter, if we weren't even living as a living being. But we are, to be of that, of what it is. There's living beings outside of the physical body too. But it's not like that awareness is drawn into our awareness at this time anyway, because humans are ignorant, right? All of a sudden. And animals, they know of that nature, and they never were brought out of what that was that they were connected with, because that was the internal function before we were even taught how to use our internal function. That's why kids say they'd make up all these crazy things, you'd think, but it's not. But they weren't developed enough to fully be in their mature state to have that, to say of what that is, as of for their backing. Plus, there was a lot of adults shunning that out of the mind because of what their programming were, or what they could form to over time, as well as what I actually experienced through time until I couldn't handle it anymore. It's either like I am either going to go one way or the other, and if I go the other, I knew it'd lead to my death. Like it'd lead to me being so unhappy with myself that I wouldn't. So that's why I went that way, the path towards doing the right thing at all costs, because I feel the effect from everything. And that's why I do this every day. And like, I don't know, man. Just do the math. Look at my stuff and everything. You'll see. Yes, you'll see. That's really cool. I gotta see it from the other way. You can see it better. There we go.